Jeez, that's a lot of gold. Hey, what's going on guys? It's me, Xrathis, and I'm bringing you another video today. As you can tell, this is going to be a different video. I'm going to bring you a Affliction guide. So, I'm just going to get straight into it really. I did record this before, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to record it again, because when I was editing it and everything, some things weren't as clear. I just thought, when I looked through it, I probably wasn't as confident, so I'm going to do it again for you guys. So, let's begin. So, yeah, I'll be doing Affliction. So, Affliction is my main spec. I always play Affliction. I never really play Demo or Destro, mainly because I like the way Affliction works. I like dotting targets up, keep refreshing my dots, you know, it's quite fun and enjoyable to me. I've always played Affliction, so, yeah. So, my talents. So let's start with the level 15 talents. So you got the option of Nightfall, Drain Soul and Deathbolt. In this category you always want to be doing Deathbolt for PvP. So I'm going to be talking exactly in regards to PvP. So let's see. So yeah, Nightfall I would never use, personally, because, you know, Corruption, as it says here, Corruption damage has a chance to basically make your Shadow Bolt do more damage and be an instant cast. You know, I couldn't see a scenario where you would want to be doing this, while choosing this over Deathbolt or anything, because this sounds like a PvE talent to me, you know, see the Corruption, you corrupt all the enemies, so your Corruption spreads, and then, you know, you just spam your Shadow Bolt. But now, I wouldn't use that for PvP personally. Drain Soul. So, I haven't really used Drain Soul. I haven't really tried this, but personally, I wouldn't use this either. I would always be picking Deathbolt, mainly because, you know, this the Drain Soul replaces your Shadow Bolt, and, you know, although you don't really use Shadow Bolt that much in PvP, I don't really think that this is necessary to be picking over Deathbolt, because Deathbolt's your primary burst, really. So when you cast your Unstable Afflictions, you'll be using your Deathbolt as the finisher, basically. So I would always use Deathbolt, just so you can get your damage out faster, really. The level 30 talent, it's entirely up to you, to be honest. You have three choices, so Wraith and Agony, Absolute Corruption, and Siphon Life. At the start of the expansion of BFA, I used to use Wraith and Agony. This was so overpowered back then, but since you can get those Azerite traits, so the one where your Agony starts at 4 stacks, I could see it being good with this, if you had, like, with this talent, if you did have that Azerite trait. But personally, I wouldn't recommend it that much, because your dots can get dispelled and everything. I mean, it's still good, don't get me wrong, but I just feel as if, you know, using Absolute Corruption for your burst may be more essential than using making your Agony go up to 15 stacks. But all three of these are good. I used to use Siphon Life about midway through this expansion. This is brilliant. I would use this. I'd be switching these two out if I do twos, probably. Siphon Life, basically, what I would do is I use this in a 2v2 arena scenario if I didn't have a healer or something. It gives you a lot of healing back when you dot this on a target, so the more people you dot up, the more healing you're going to get back. So that's absolutely perfect. That also works well with Phantom Singularity, but I'll talk about that later. So yeah, it's really good, but if you want to be doing threes or BGs, I probably would go Absolute Corruption, just because your Corruption has a much higher duration, so it extends to 24 seconds against PvP targets, and it's permanent against non-PvP targets. Your Corruption also does 15% more damage to targets, so mainly I like this because you can dot everybody up, and then you stop burst and you start AoE pressuring the enemy, and this works very well with the Absolute Corruption. So yeah, I personally recommend going Absolute Corruption, but any of these work in PvP at the moment. I would highly consider using any, really. Again, So at the 45 talent, you got the choice of Demon Skin, Burning Rush, and Dark Pact. So again, it's a similar situation to the level 30 talents. You could pick any really, apart from Burning Rush. So personally, I always pick Demon Skin, mainly because your Soul Leech absorption rate, recharges faster. So that means I can get my shield back faster from my pet. Also, my maximum health recharges basically every 1 second. So you get a bigger shield depending on how much damage you're taking, everything. I like this more than the other talents personally, because if I do 3s or something, I have a healer, and my shield can, well, basically my shield up here, my Soul Leech can recharge at a faster rate, which is very beneficial, because I can survive for longer. So yeah, this is very good talent to pick, really. Burning Rush, you would never pick this in a PvP scenario unless you want to have fun, I guess. It's mainly used for PvE to get to places faster, but it burns 4% of your HP every 1 second. So this is not a good scenario at all to use this in PvP, because you would just burn your HP down, or we're squishy as it is, so I wouldn't pick that at all. It gets you out of stuns and it gets you out of movement impairing effects, but other than that, no. Dark Pact. Sometimes, mainly I would pick this if I was Destro. Mainly because I like having a shield as Destro, like one I can proc myself instead of having a passive shield. So if I was at fatal damage and I was about to die, I would proc this. I do like the idea of having a shield, but I do prefer having the passive shield, which regens from your Soul Leech. So I can have a 26k absorption shield, but if I changed it to Dark Pact, then my shield's not going to recharge as fast. So I personally wouldn't go this unless you're in like a 2v2 scenario without a healer. I could see it working then, but personally I would recommend Demon Skin. So level 60 talents, you got Sow of the Seeds, you got Phantom Singularity, and Vile Taint. So the first one, Sow of the Seeds, you would never pick this in a PvP scenario. Basically, your seed corruption now extends to another player. So instead of it being on one target, it can now go to an additional target. Personally, I can see this working in PvE when you do AoE cleave, but I wouldn't see it working in Arena. Vile Taint, it all depends. I haven't really used this talent, but I could see it working against melee cleave. So like Monk, Demon Hunter, or Warrior, Paladin, something like that. Just so you can start slowing them and reducing their movement speed, so you can get away easier, Maybe not against the Paladin, actually, because they can just free them out, but yeah, all depends, really, to be fair. But against melees, I can see this working, but I would always pick Phantom Singularity. You can combine this with Siphon Life, as I was explaining earlier, so you dot everyone with Siphon Life, you can Phantom Singularity, and Phantom Singularity gives you healing back as well, so you can obviously combine it with your Siphon Life and you just get more healing out of your dot ticks, which is very nice. I always use Phantom Singularity and Absolute Corruption. I never really switch, but yeah, I prefer this mainly because you can get healing based on the damage it ticks for. So as you can see here, it deals 19.6k damage over 14 seconds, healing you for 25% of the damage done. So all depends how much it hits the target for, but you would get 8% of that back as HP. So level 75, you got Dark Fury, Morticore, and Demon Circle. Again, like before, Dark Fury I wouldn't really pick, because since Shadow Fury's on a 1 minute cooldown and it has a 1.3 second cast, it's hard to line up your Shadow Furies now, and reducing this to a 45 second cast isn't really going to be beneficial, because I'd rather have the mobility from Demonic Circle than, the slower cooldown rate on your Shadow Fury, so I wouldn't pick that. Usually I do switch between Morticore and Demon Circle if it's a melee comp or something, maybe I'll use Mortar Coil or something just so I can get that higher percent HP, you know, get 20% of my HP back. So it's really good. Mainly I use this as Destro because I can Havoc 2 targets, Mortar Coil them both, get a high percent of HP back, and flee 2 targets, so that's quite nice. Demonic Circle though, I always use this, especially when you're against the caster, because you know you can line the casters when they're, especially if it's like a mage or something. If they do Greater Pyro, they have to use 2 of their blinks to get to you if you use your portal, so it's very beneficial. I would always have Demonic Circle because of the mobility. Level 90 talents, you got Shadow Embrace, Haunt, and Grimoire of Sacrifice. So Shadow Embrace, Shadow Bolt applies Shadow Embrace, increasing your damage out to the target by 3% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So essentially, spamming Shadow Bolt can increase your damage up to 9%. So I could see it kind of working in PvP, but I wouldn't take that over Haunt, mainly because, you know, with Haunt, you fire the Haunt into the target, it does 5k damage and increases your damage out to the target by 10% for 15 seconds. So I don't know, it just seems like more effort, because you get more out of this than more out of Haunt than you would in Shadow Embrace, you know, because you'd have to spam 3 Shadow Bolts to get the effect of spamming 1 Haunt. So I don't know why you would pick Shadow Embrace. I wouldn't. Grimoire of Sacrifice, I would never pick this anymore. It used to be good back in MoP and everything like that. I mean, it's good when you can sacrifice your pet and you get their ability. So, you know, if I sacrificed my Succubus, my Foul Hunter, sorry, I would get the Spell Lock. If I did my Succubus, then I would get her Charm. If I did the Void Walker, I would get extra HP. You know, I like the idea of doing that, but I get that anyway. And it's nice having a pet to CC the target, because if you're not in line, you can still CC. So I'd pick Haunt over all of these 3, because the little damage on Grimoire Sacrifice isn't good. So on the level 100 talents, you got Soul Conduit, Creeping Death, and Dark Soul Misery. Soul Conduit, I could see it being okay. Personally, I wouldn't recommend it as much. I could see it being used as AoE cleave or something like that. So you just spam your Seed of Corruptions and then you get loads and loads of Soul Shards back. I could see it working in 3s or something. But mainly, I wouldn't pick it over the other 2. I used to run Creeping Death back at the start of this expansion, and it's really nice if you combine it with Absolute Corruption, because your dots tick 15% faster. So, you know, Corruption does 15% more increased damage, and if it does 15%, you know, faster damage, you're getting like the best use out of Corruption, if that makes sense. So, you know, your dots are ticking faster, and your Corruption does more damage, which is really nice. I suppose it could work with most of these, to be fair, on the level 30 talents. But then I started using Dark Soul Misery, mainly because I like boosting my haste. I think that, you know, getting more dots out and making their dots tick quicker is much more beneficial than, you know, having any of the other talents. So I'd rather have this to back up with my burst. Mainly because, you know, I can get bigger death bolts and my dots can tick for faster. So now into the PvP talents. You always want to go Trinket. I never switch out from the other 2, so I'm not even going to go into that. Yeah, I always just play Medallion. I have some of these I play. So Rotten Decay, I usually play that all the time. So each time Drain Life deals damage, it increases the duration of your Unstable Affliction, Corruption, and Agony on the target by 1 second. So basically, the more times you drain life, the longer the dots are going to stay up on the target for. So it's quite nice, especially if like a warrior's trying to run to their healer or something, going behind a pillar. You can drain life, your drain life will go through the pillar, and your dots will stay refreshed on the target, which is quite nice. Essence Drain, I do like playing this sometimes, mainly in 2s I'd play it. So basically, when you drain life the target, when you drain life to target, the enemy deals 5% reduced damage, and it stacks up to 5 times. So the longer you drain life for, the more reduced damage you're gonna take from the enemy, and it'd be a 25% reduction in the enemy's damage on you, which is very nice. So I would recommend playing that, especially with demon armor. I just recently started picking this, and it's absolutely awesome. So boom. Now I'll give you it in perspective. Actually, my HP is 175 at the moment, and my armor's 1100. You know, increase it, my armor's now 4100, and my HP is 193k. So it explains for itself, really. You can get a little bit more tankier. Your maximum health increased by 10% and increase your armor by 275%. So again, it's good if you don't have a healer, but it's just good in general. I never really replace this because I like being a tanky spec. I don't like being squished all the time. However, if you did want to swap out Essence Drain, my other ones I would usually use are Nether Ward. You could potentially use it. I don't use it often, but it's very nice, you know, if you're against casters and you're against a mage who, you know, can burst you down in 3 seconds or something. Pop this, and then you'll reflect all that damage back to the target who originally cast the spell. So you can just burst down the person who's bursting you down. So it's really nice. I really like using Gateway Mastery against melee players, mainly because you can get a longer gateway, and you know, it's just so good. You can utilize your gateway more often in arena and in battlegrounds. You can get a longer gateway. It's harder for players to reach you, and your team can reset, which is very nice. So yeah, that's the main ones I use. You know, you can use the curses as well. They're quite good to use, but personally I would recommend the ones I've said in the video. Now I'm gonna go through my traits with you guys. So the traits I'm running at the moment is Cascading Calamity. I love this. I tried to get this on all my gears. I think this is one of the best traits possible for Affliction Warlock at the moment, mainly because you can get your haste up to, you know, a high percent, and it's very good, especially if you play Dark Soul Misery. You can get your haste so high. It's very nice. So yeah, increase your haste by 314 for 15 seconds when you cast Unstable Affliction. Also, I got Racking Brilliance. Again, it's okay. Every other soul shard your agony generates also increases your intellect by 694. Yeah, it's good, don't get me wrong. I would just wish there was something better in that talent, well, in that trait. I went with Overwhelming Power. I never play this, but I thought since I got Cascading Calamity and I got the Dark Soul Misery, I may as well use it because I get more haste, which diminishes down every second. So I may as well get those 25 applications of haste, and then it diminishes down over time. And in here, I would pick out of these two. You know, Lifeblood's good because you can get your leech from your health stone. So anyone who's affected by your dots, you can get a certain percent of HP back, which is quite nice. Personally, I would probably go for the shield though, mainly because, you know, you got Soul Leech. So I got a 28k shield, and then I can have a bigger shield on top of that, which is very nice. So on my shoulders, I have Pandemic Invocation. So Refreshing Corruption, Agony, or Siphon Life with less than 5 seconds remaining will deal 1000 shadow damage and has 6.66% chance to grant you a soul sword. You know, that's not too bad when you cast out with Racking Brilliance, because you can get loads of soul swords back. And I suppose if you wanted, you can do it with Soul Conduit, but I wouldn't personally. So yeah, it's not too bad. I always play Gut Ripper. However, I feel as if Gut Ripper isn't as good anymore. Maybe it's just me, but I've gone with Elemental Whirl just so I can have a chance to get my mastery, crit, or, you know, versatility or my haste up, just because I want to be doing more damage. Obviously, Gut Ripper is really good, especially for arena, because when you're down the enemy, so if you're playing with like a Unholy DK, you can cleave down easier, and you can get more damage. But now I personally go Elemental Whirl, and then I got Impassive Visage, so I can heal for 4k, and it can't occur more than 6 seconds. On my chest again, I got Cascading Calamity, so I can get more haste. I also got Elemental Well, again, as I explained, just so I can get more damage output. And then I also got the Impassive Visage, so I can get that heal for 4k. Now, on to talking about stat priority. Mainly, I like to focus haste, personally. Obviously, I got high percentage of mastery, but you know, when you pop your cooldowns and everything, my haste increases up to 48%. So it's very good, and if I get those procs, you know, from my Cascading Calamity and, you know, all my other spells, my haste is going to go up to at least 60% or more. So it's really, really nice. So my attack speed and everything, and my dots can tick for much higher. So personally, I would go haste, and then I would go mastery, so I can get a higher damage from my dots. And then I'd go crit, so they have a extra chance to crit. So it would go haste, mastery, crit, in my opinion. Personally, you know, I've been playing a Warlock since I started in the start of BC. I've always done haste as an Affliction Warlock because I like getting more dot pressure out. It's all entire like preference, you know. It's up to you, but personally, I would go haste. Yeah, I'm gonna go show you my rotation now. So I will see you guys in 2 seconds. Hey, what's up guys, and I'm back. So I'm at the training dummies in Borealis at the moment. I'm going to go with my rotation I use for PvP. Some people's going to do it differently, but this is how I do it. You don't have to copy me. I just want to give you the rundown on what I do. So first I would start off going with my dots. So, you know, Agony, Corruption, you want to get that on all your targets. And then you're going to let that build up to the 10 stacks, depending on what you play. Then I would go Haunt. Then I would spam my... Oh, well, I messed up it already. I would spam my 5 UAs. Then I would use my Dark Soul Misery, and then I would Death Bolt. So personally, that's what I would do, but it's entirely up to you. It'd probably be better, to be fair, to do your Dark Soul first. So, you know, if I show you again, my Dark Soul's got a minute cooldown, but I'll show you in 3 minutes. Just hold on 1 second. Alright, so I have 10 seconds left on my Dark Glare. So again, I'll show you again. So you want to do your Agony, your Corruption, your Agony, your Corruption. So you want to get that on all your targets. And then on your main target, so what I'd personally do now, you know, is do your Haunt, pop your Dark Soul, Unsable Affliction, you spam that 5 times, get your Dark Glare, Death Bolt, and you see 11k crit. Usually when I do Death Bolt, I re-put up my Agony, just so I can get more out of it, but no, you don't need to, obviously. Spam your 5 UAs and then Death Bolt, and then you just spam Drain Life. That's what I do, and then, you know, you just get your Agony up on all the targets again, and then you just rinse and repeat. So you Haunt, you do your Unstable Affliction, and then you Death Bolt. So, you know, that's my basic rotation. Obviously people are going to do it different. I'm not saying that's the best and most efficient way, but that's how I burst. Usually, you know, it's good for PvP and PvE. Obviously, you're probably not going to get those 5 UAs off in the PvP scenario, but, you know, you want to be getting as close to that as possible, just so you can get that more burst. But yeah, that's been another video from me, guys. That's just a quick guide. I say quick, quote unquote. It's going to be quite long, but it's going to be a basic rundown on the Affliction spec, you know, and how to play it efficiently. And yeah, if you did enjoy the video, then leave a like, comment down below on what you want to see next in the next episode, subscribe to my channel, and of course guys, if you enjoyed the video, then subscribe for my channel for more. So I'll see you in the next one. Right, peace!